I want a sandwich. Now. Oh, sandwich wench. Yo, wench. Sandwich. Now. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. A sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. A sandwich. Oh, sandwich wench. I want a sandwich. Sandwich. There we go. Hello, everyone. I hit the wrong button because I'm so used to doing it on Twitch. Welcome to another political recap stream here on the Moisky Live channel. It's been a while. Sorry about that, folks. That's life. Joining me to discuss, well, I'm sure a few rather tasty subjects is my, as someone mentioned on Twitch, scrumdiddlyumptious co-host, TrupsLP. Say hello, Trups.
Hello, Trups.
How is Trups?
Trups is doing all right.
Been up to much?
We had this beautiful week, right? Absolutely gorgeous. 70 degrees, which is about what you would keep your house at if you're like
2021, yeah?
Yeah, about that. And gorgeous week, right?
Yeah.
Well, here's the weekend. Oh, now it's 55 and raining. Fuck, okay.
That's nice, isn't it? Mother Nature just loves to absolutely dunk on you when you have free time. It's like whenever I have a day off, I always end up with a headache.
Exactly that. So, I mean, it's typical for this area, especially this time of year, but god damn it, I hate it.
Yeah, it's what I believe you call Murphy's Law, is it?
Yes, anything that can go wrong will go wrong.
Yeah, we call it Sod's Law. Murphy's Law is in full effect there, I'm afraid, mate. But one does hope that perhaps the weather forecast is a lie and you get the 70s so you can enjoy it. I mean, as someone that prefers the cold, I won't deny, with the sun, there's been this strange. Maybe I'm getting old and it's this as well, where you've been subjected to lower temperatures for so long. When you feel that sun on you, actually it feels quite welcoming. And I think that's been I've had that with that. If it went for the fumble, if it wasn't for the cold wind that we get, you'd probably feel a lot better. And it is quite welcoming and nice to have, though. So you kind of shove it to the side and just appreciate it while you've got it. I know that when it gets to like July and August and maybe a bit of September, I'm not going to be very happy at all about it. But it's still nice right now.
The sun is actually It's actually healthy.
Like, vitamin D. Yeah.
I had traveled to Seattle last year. We didn't do a stream then, obviously, because I had been traveling. But I had traveled with a coworker and his wife.
Yeah.
And they made a very interesting observation, and that was that a large amount of U.S.-based serial killers come from that area.
Really?
And they were like, well, yeah, it kind of makes sense because there is a bit of truth that comes around when you talk about how the impact of being gray and rainy skies all the time may actually impact your mood.
So that's a very good point. That I can equal that, I guess, to an extent, because there's documentary on one of the coldest villages or towns in the world. It's in Siberia or Russia, some area around there. And they're under darkness most of the time. The buildings are made of concrete so thick that they could survive quite a few nuclear, attacks if it weren't for the fact that windows existed. Most of them don't have jobs. There is very little in amenities and services. Their lives are within their apartment blocks at best. And their lives are shorter because, exactly, their lives don't have anything. They can't get anywhere. They have no meaning. They can't build anything either because they're stuck. I feel bad for him,
Terrible.
but then I realize I'm
I
not there,
couldn't
so I don't
stand
care.
that.
Yeah, I don't.
Even
But you'd be miserable. How would you know if you could or couldn't stand it if that's all you've got?
right. I guess if I lived there and I didn't know of anything else, but I would see
Yeah.
pictures and be like, "Dad, what's that?" That's the sun.
Yeah.
We don't have that here.
Yeah, that's and it affects obviously their mood because they're just depressed, and that's but also Russian, so naturally depressed. I fully understand it because all you've got is vodka, and that's it really. Cannibalism, I think. But
Well, that might be a thing that comes up soon.
yeah, yeah, that doesn't surprise me. But yeah, it's great to have while you have. I managed to get out all the time. Hell, today I check my watch. I'll see how many steps I've done. So I've been out for a fair bit today. I am on
Very preppy of you.
on 33,812, which is about
Guaranteed
just
that's
16.
more than me.
Yeah, it's about 16 and a half kilometers. Which isn't too bad. And maybe it's not bad actually. That's pretty all right for a day. But a lot of the sun was out today, so I got I might tan if my skin was lighter. It'd be nice. Yeah, it'd be nice to. It's good for vitamin D, as everyone knows.
And that's
Insert
healthy.
cock
And
jokes.
that helps keep your body healthy if you were to be infected with viruses like the
Yeah.
flu.
Everyone in my house has experienced a lot of illnesses of late, and as always is the case, I'm just not getting ill. I think a positive attitude and also looking after oneself helps. I think it'll be very. It's good for your system to be more proactive. I think, which oddly enough does tie into a story. I guess I can start with. I'll start with Boris. It's not a super controversial one, folks. I will start, however, with a question. I'll ask Trups as well. Do you have a problem with politicians that are not the leader of your nation? So, let's say those who aren't in high office government positions, yeah? If they're not, do you have an issue with them having second jobs?
No, I do not. I think it might be hard for them to acquire second jobs, noting their previous affluence, their impact. But I have no inherent issue with them attempting to obtain said job. No.
This might come across as a loaded question. I promise it is not, as Trups and I have briefly spoken on this just before the stream, actually. Boris, since leaving office as Prime Minister, we all knew he didn't want to be Prime Minister for too long anyway. But there's a chance he'll end up being back in office anyway because it's probably going to happen, to be honest. I can't see him being Prime Minister again, but possibly leader of the party, sure, for a little bit to rebuild them, why not? But since leaving office, from September to now, how much do you think Boris Johnson has made from speeches and private contracts to give future speaking event speeches?
Well, if I don't look at the article, roughly how long has it been?
I don't know, 5-6 months.
Okay.
I can't count, so let's go with that. 5-6 months.
Roughly like a few dozen speeches, maybe.
Maybe, but how much money do you think he's gotten?
I mean, probably a couple million. I mean, just noting the affluence of a former prime minister.
Well, some prime ministers that would certainly be applicable. Tony Blair is a big philanthropist. He invested a lot in business, properties, and everything else. Actually, originally he wanted to be president of the EU, and it failed because no one likes us. Although he was arguably the biggest Europhile of the lot. David Cameron does do speeches. He does some stuff with banks, though. Gordon Brown went under the radar. Theresa May, she's not been so active really either, to be honest. And Liz Truss, no one talks about Liz Truss. In the case of Boris, though, just proving how good an orator he is. He is the Lorgar Aurelian of our world. You know, if anyone follows 40k, you know who that is.
Ogar.
Yeah, nice. L. Boris Johnson has declared income since leaving office to almost 4.8 million. Now, he had previously recorded 1.8 million in speaking fees since his departure. However, he had signed I think it's £2.5 million advance with a New York-based Harry Walker speaking agency for an unspecified number of speeches. This doesn't include like 13.5 grand in accommodation. He's let's see, he's been declaring for accommodation, which is nearly 75 grand already. You know, he said when he left office, when he would leave office, he wanted to make money and have fun. 4.8 million is one hell of a way of saying, yeah, I want to have some fun now. He may have a young family with with Carrie, who's pretty much his boss. But man, he's pulling the money in. And I think this has caused a big debate in Parliament where they seem to think that all politicians should only earn their salary from being a politician. Now, I know that a lot of politicians they do committees, they do other things depending on the department they will work within. However, I personally don't take issue with him or any other politician making money. Why? Because I like money. On that note, give me your money! I just think it's a reasonable thing to do, because he's not going to be in high office ever again, really. So who cares? He's an MP for Uxbridge, and I'll be honest, if he gets elected in again, I'll be very surprised. But he probably will, but Uxbridge, they're not the biggest of fans of him right now. So he may as well make as much money as he can, because 4.8 will do him some do him some good. He's got, by the way, he also has 500,000 coming in from his political memoirs. Yeah, because he's got that coming out soon. You know, and so this is where people I think they might think there's an issue. They think that he's skirting a potential break. So
what do you mean by that when you say skirting a potential break?
Right, ministerial rules. Former ministers are not allowed to take jobs that involve influencing government for 2 years. He is doing jobs that involve speaking engagements in certain finance sectors. This in turn could be, depending on who's in charge, they could argue semantics that he is influencing something that in turn could influence the government. It's not going to work, by the way, because you have to be a pedantic shit for that to fly, and it won't work because the Conservatives are still in power. Also, no one's that pedantic. But I think it's great because while articles reference this and politicians go all about it, it means nothing really, because he's just making money. By the way, this also it doesn't include the fact that his involvement as Prime Minister, but also leaving, has generated millions for the party and other companies. His involvement in all of this has actually done really well for others as well. I think it's very interesting, and I know that the opposition, Keir Starmer, he's been pushing for ages for people to stop this kind of second job stuff going on. And you are definitely a pedantic shit chaos. Now, if you could do me a favour and stop being pedantic and go shag until you're pregnant, that'd be great. I just think that in the context of politicians having second jobs, I only take an issue if you're in high office. If you work within a government position, I then take issue, and I will include the shadow cabinet as well, because you're trying to become the government. So if you're the shadow chancellor, I don't want to see you also working some kind of Wall Street job, that kind of finance stuff to boost your income with some kind of insider trading bullshit. I don't think it's right. If you have a bunch of properties you sublet, I don't consider that a second job at all, because you can just let an agency do that these days. You don't have to be involved in it in the slightest. If you are in a high office position, I don't think it's right that you have other jobs, because your main job is that job, and I think it could get in. You could have an issue there. But other MPs like Boris, nah, fuck it. He's a former prime minister. He may as well make his money while he can. He's managed to make me 5 million in 6 months. Man knows how to make money.
Well, I mean that too, but like, what do you resign these people to? Like, what is their life after that? Like
80 grand a year, and that's it.
That's not a lot.
It isn't a lot if you live in London. If you live where I live, 80 grand goes far. But Boris wants to make money because Boris wants to have fun. So 80 grand means nothing. Making nearly 5 million in 6 months. This man, okay, let's just, I'll just give some context, okay? Let's go and pull up Tony Blair's net worth. The man is worth about 50 million pounds. Since leaving office, that's where the bulk of his money came from leaving office, yeah? I go to Gordon Brown, yeah? Gordon Brown, the most boring politician ever. $15 million, by the way. So about, I don't know, £12 million, maybe. But I doubt he's worth that at all. David Cameron had a lot of his money invested in something else. He, though, is also worth a stupid amount of money. Because he comes from money as well. About £37 million he's worth. But a lot of these people, well, in the case of Cameron, he had a bit of money before he became PM. He made his money afterwards. Gordon Brown would have made money as well. Both of them got involved in charity work, yes, but they still did speaking work. They had memoirs, they had deals in place. Tony Blair is no exception for a war criminal. He still made a stupid amount of money afterwards. And Boris is no exception to this. Theresa May's husband, I'm pretty sure, was involved in some form of insider trading with the EU stuff and benefited from certain deals the Conservatives had concerning hedge funds, I think. I
wouldn't be surprised.
I think there was something in place there. Her net worth, Theresa May's, £2 million. Let's go for a husband, because I'm pretty sure his is a lot higher. Where's his? $5 million. Yeah, he's worth a lot more. He's a senior executive at a $1.4 trillion investment fund that profits from tax avoiding companies. So, yeah, she didn't really deal with the loopholes because he was, making money off it. I take no issue with Boris doing this because fuck it, he may as well. Let the Winston Churchill wannabe have his fun. As long as he pays his taxes, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I mean, really, we have instances of this. I mean, you have to ask yourself, okay, so if they're not allowed to make money, does that mean they can't write memoirs about their time in office? Because that goes to sales, right? Or in the case of George W. Bush, he paints, and I believe he sold a couple of them. I don't know if he sold all of them, but I know that he sold a few.
Yeah.
Is he not allowed to do that? Is it just speaking engagements?
Yeah.
And then if it is speaking engagements, does it matter who they speak to? Colleges, right?
Some of your presidents Obama made phenomenal amounts of money before he even left office because of his books, didn't he?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Obama still makes money.
Oh yeah, I'm not surprised. He's still considered
speaking
cool.
Engagements.
That too. Michelle Obama makes money from her books as well. There's nothing wrong with that, by the way, because she wasn't a politician. But in the case
Hillary Clinton makes money not even having been president.
She made.
There was a book that said, "If I won."
Didn't she sell something that she probably shouldn't have sold?
Probably.
Yeah. What was that, plutonium, uranium? I don't know.
Oh, I don't know about. I forget about that.
Yeah,
I remember I remember the context, but I don't remember anymore. And that might be healthy.
I get you. I think the one thing that separates your presidents from our prime ministers is our prime ministers can actually continue in their jobs as MPs. Your presidents are done. That's their last ever job they'll realistically have.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably a good thing, to be honest, because most of them are quite old anyway, but what do they need to do afterwards, really?
I mean, a lot of them, and I remember we had spoken about this at one point, but a lot of them just want to cling to that power as long as they can.
So I would...
Because it's all they know.
Yeah, some will want to do that, I agree.
But, I mean, should they? Probably not. They should probably just, go retire somewhere. But the other thing is, what else do you do, right? So, no, I don't care, honestly. If Boris goes and enjoys his freedom, as of right now, that I don't imagine that would harm anybody in the country, and I think that anybody who is basically making this a point is probably just upset because the man they don't like is doing things, and that makes them upset.
Yeah.
And that's probably what it all boils down to in the end. There's probably nothing further than that shallowness. If I had to guess.
That's fair, to be honest.
Cool. Alrighty. Do you want to... Oh, God. What do we even go into at the moment?
China's magical balloon.
Okay.
Oh no! Let's do something else. Actually, interesting. No. That is interesting, but I've got something else.
Okay.
Let's talk about Ukraine.
Oh,
I want to
okay.
get your opinion on something. So
Sure.
I've been asked about this, and I've said they're all cucking funds. I couldn't agree more. I was asked about a recent visit Zelensky had with the UK and then the EU. He had a very impassioned speech at the EU where he almost like he was going to cry. He met with Rishi Sunak, and Boris Johnson had said that we should give we should give Zelensky all of our fighter jets.
All
Talking
of
like
them?
all our Typhoon fighter jets, all of them. Now, there's an issue with this. Firstly,
Mhm.
if you know the pros and cons of these planes, Typhoons aren't going to help you low down. They need long runways, and they cannot fly low. They can't. So they can't deal with the support that Zelensky wants from certain types of fighter jets. He's not going to get it from those. Okay,
Right.
so Typhoon jets are of no use to him. They're not good for dogfighting either, by the way. In the context of low ground, no, it's not. Do I hear a cat meowing? Sorry, give me a second.
Okay.
Oh dear.
There was actually some MP who also had made the comment that they wanted to give him the Super Tucanos. And Super Tucanos are turboprops, light attack aircraft. That's really not going to help you in a
Jolly good,
dogfight.
splendid.
But, you know.
You spoke ill of me, I'll know. Very good. I had an article saved somewhere that went through the pros and cons of our fighter jets, the Typhoon jets. Went through the Swedish jets as well. I can't remember the name of them, but also MiGs. And the best viable option would have been Sweden. Problem is, Sweden aren't a member of NATO, and so they'd need protection anyway to give up their planes. But there's no point in them giving them up anyway. Basically, Zelensky wants planes so he has that area covered because Russia have an advantage. But Boris's solution was, give up all of our planes. So my question to you is this. Considering what I have briefly told you about what Typhoon jets are, what they can't do, but also there's another additional thing I think is fairly obvious. Should the United Kingdom give up all its fighter jets to Ukraine? Bear in mind we have to train them as well.
No, you should not do that. That sounds like one of the worst ideas. Let me just gimp my entire army because fucking Zelensky came and made a passionate speech. Yeah, that sounds like a genius plan.
Yeah. So I'll quickly I've got the pros and cons now on my screen. It took me long enough to go and get it. I had it on the wrong server. Right. So a Typhoon, pros. Operationally proven, versatile aircraft in close support, ground attack, and air-to-air roles. Faster than MiG-29, relevant to the MiG-29 Fulcrum, which has been suggested from another country. Which one is it? China. No, not from China. China have lobbied for the US not to send them or something. I don't know who, actually. Whatever. The negative, not designed for low-level flying, required to avoid Russian air defense systems, along with supply chain issues and needing a long runway. Additionally, we'd have to train you dickheads to use our planes. There is a Saab Gripen C. That is the Swedish-made aircraft. It's hardier, easier to maintain and operate from dispersed bases and rough airstrips. Can carry Meteor air-to-air missiles, which the RAF Typhoons can't. But then the negative is Sweden can't spare them. 830-mile land border Finland have. They need to help Finland if they do decide to try again with attacking Finland. The MiG-29 Fulcrum is highly capable, versatile aircraft that Ukrainian pilots are already familiar with. Poland and Slovakia can send the jets, but China, as a negative, are rumored to have lobbied the US to block previous Polish bid to supply MiGs and could do so again. So Biden needs to take a strong position on it, which he won't do. So again, I will ask, do you think anyone should send jets to Ukraine?
No.
Why? Not as an accusation, just
well, okay.
What is your thought?
I have a mixed issue with the idea that if I throw money and stuff at the problem, it will be fixed. So this is the same issue I have with them with the U.S. sending 31 Abrams tanks to Ukraine.
Decent tanks.
They're great tanks.
I've had a model one of those with BB guns, BB pellets in the cannon.
Yeah, it's super cool. It's
Very
it's
cool.
part of our mainline defenses too for a ground thing. We use them I believe we use them in Afghanistan, but not very much because that's not the terrain they're used for. But I believe that is the case. But I know that we left a bunch of them. Either way, we have to then train them to use them. We have to give them the maintenance training. We have to check their operational readiness. We have to make sure that they can keep it operational, keep it supplied with ammunition.
Mm-hmm.
And the most important part, okay, cool. What is your plan for getting rid of them? Or what happens if they blow up or they are disabled? Do you
first
leave
of all,
them there?
they need.
Or will they then be captured by the Russians?
I would add that based on Russia's own rather poor experience with their attacks anyway, they've just gotten lucky with a few attacks on buildings with people in. They've not really achieved much in the air. Let's face it, they really haven't. They've achieved some successes, but let's face it, Ukraine have put them on the back foot, which is just embarrassing. There's no guarantee if we gave planes to Ukraine that they could fly them as well as we can anyway. And we should not be giving up our defense from anyone. Because bear in mind here, if we give up all our planes, we don't have anything to fly to protect ourselves.
Yeah, what's your spin-up time on another set of them?
Another Typhoon. I actually don't know how long it takes to build those. I can quickly have a look. How long does it take
it's more of
to build a Typhoon jet? Okay. Let's see.
Long.
Apparently, it takes 6 years to develop, deploy an F-16. A MiG-21 is also very considered similar in build time. I'd rather not give up our Typhoons. Apparently, we have 137 Eurofighter Typhoon jets. I want all 137 in this country because they're to protect us. But if we give up everything, I mean, it's certainly going to make it a little bit easier for us to be a target. I'm sorry, but the government's role is to protect us first. So when Boris says give them all up, that's just too idealist and naive on him. Seriously.
Yeah, basically. I fully agree. The idea that anybody would send, I think actually one of your MPs was talking about the Super Toscano as well, which is a turboprop plane that's made for light attack.
Right.
Not meant for dogfighting. I don't think that it would go great to just kind of willy-nilly throw this one out there and just say, oh yeah, we're just gonna throw this to the other people and it'll be great, right? It'll be fine. We'll just give them that thing and we'll train them, and all these things sound great on paper, but I'm not hearing the logistical how we're doing this, and that is one of my biggest concerns when we decide we're going to send them Abrams, or whether we're floating the idea for Typhoons. I hear a lot of talking, but I don't hear a lot of plans or operational function.
Yeah, there's another issue you have to add to this, and that is that if it's all well and good us giving up 160, actually, just to be clear, of these jets, we built a total of 681. Some went to Austria, Germany, Italy, Kuwait, Oman, Saudi Arabia, Spain, Qatar. Fantastic. However, they cost billions to make, that many. Billions. We don't have that kind of money to build more jets. We don't have it. So you not only give up an asset, we give up an asset freely that could be destroyed quickly. We're not going to get them back, are we? So we've just given up one of our cards, and I don't agree with that. And the cost part is going to be a real problem. They're still cool jets. I'm just saying, but I think yeah, no, they're beautiful.
Now it's also worth mentioning that we have another facet to the arming of Ukraine that has kind of, I'm not going to say like blown up or
Mm-hmm.
like it's had a negative repercussion, and in that it's that they have recently been asking for the Leopard 2 tanks from Germany. Well, as Russia sees it, those tanks use depleted uranium cores
Mm-hmm.
to run. Well, Russia says, "Oh, you're using nuclear armaments against us? Okay, cool." And everyone goes, "Wait, no, that's not what that is." And they go, "No, that's completely what that is."
Yeah.
And they're right, is the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, that is exactly what that technically is. It is nuclear armament to send Leopard 2s with depleted uranium power sources.
Okay.
So that's also been part of the issue at hand. Now, of course, I had briefly started to mention this earlier before the show started, but on January 25th, Ukraine and Russian negotiators had actually agreed that a permanent ceasefire must be observed unconditionally. And then our dumbasses kicked in the door, in which we delivered a written response that we said that we would not commit to not including Ukraine into NATO, and that there is no change and there will be no change of the US and NATO support of the alliance's open door policy.
Well,
At
isn't
which
this
point
fantastic?
negotiations fell through.
That doesn't surprise me in the slightest. Someone had to open their big fat fucking mouth, didn't they?
Right. They said unconditionally, and then the US was like, your presumed condition? Fuck you. What? They said there were no conditions. Why did you say anything?
If I guess the issue, I kind of get the stupidity, because without it being explicitly written, even when it says unconditionally, can you trust someone to abide their word? Especially when the ceasefires have been agreed upon during this conflict, and Russia still then during that time attacked when it was agreed not
It,
to.
I mean, that's a fair point, and it really depends. Who
Yeah,
stands to lose more, and
true.
who should really be, hoping for that clear wording?
Yeah,
Me thinks Ukraine. Um, Now, should they, be doing a little bit better with how they, try to negotiate? It looks like they're doing the best they can.
yeah.
They need the allies to shut the fuck up
Mm-hmm.
for a second. They can come in after the fact, but hold on, shut up for a moment. We almost had something.
Yeah, it's a bit stupid, isn't it?
So that's great. And ever since then, Russia has renewed all of their attacks on Kyiv.
That's going to go on for a
And
while.
yeah, well, they just renewed the attacks against them, probably because this didn't go great.
That does explain then why Zelensky was in the European Parliament making speeches. Why he met our Prime Minister, my Prime Minister, and why he wants more. And I get it. I get it. I really do. Um, this will become a war of attrition, though. I'm afraid.
I think you're right, and I think everyone kind of knew that was coming.
Yeah.
I think everyone kind of knew in the back of their heads that this was going to end up being, a grueling kind of slog, and not the quick and easy thing that either Putin wanted or the rest of the world wanted. Which honestly, they just wanted them to quickly get defeated and hop on out of there. Well, that doesn't look like it's gonna happen anytime soon.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a combination of, I mean, they don't have their entire populace that they have fighting right now. Not all of them are soldiers. Remember, they had conscripted all fighting age men to Ukraine.
That doesn't surprise me in the slightest.
That was a long time ago too. I remember them having that conversation when they were doing initial evacuations. They had basically brought out a whole bunch of people, and they were like, "If you left, come back." And they were like, "What? No, I don't want to do that." So now they are currently, in terms of, hey, who's gonna fly the Typhoon if you guys send it to them?
Yeah.
Probably a farmer.
Yeah, I'm not okay with that. This is nah. This is
Now, could a random farm boy be one of the best pilots out there? Yes, Star Wars is calling. But
they're not gonna. They haven't got a whole field of Red Barons. Okay, it's not working.
Right.
Okay, they're not. This is not happening. We're not giving you our fighter checks. We might be able to agree to sell a few to you, but we want a few of your cities in response to become crown dependencies.
Yeah, right. That's
kind
of what I'm feeling.
Help you. It's all Russia want anyway. They just want to annex about a third of their country, which I don't agree with in the first place. I don't obviously agree with them taking over a third of Ukraine. I really don't. Well, it looks like it anyway. I don't agree with that in the slightest. But this is an issue you guys are going to have to resolve, and I don't agree with my country being put in a position of we don't have air defense. Or, oh, but you've got some missiles. Whoever says that in my comments after this, you go fucking unsubscribe, you I'm sick of the pedantic shit stuff. Like, it's not
honestly,
it's not going to fly with me, all right?
But like, honestly, the comment about like, oh, but you have missiles, yeah, and
yeah, I want missiles and planes. This is my country. I'm not.
So what? They're mine. You are not entitled to my shit.
There's obviously a chance we could send some stuff, of course, but I don't want us. Boris's suggestion is so dumb on the face of it. I'm sorry, but no. But moving on, because I can't be asked for this one anymore. We've been going for 40 minutes already. Let's talk about hot air balloons, Trups, or the State of the Union, Trups, or actually no, you said State of the Union. You said there was something interesting you wanted to talk about.
Oh yeah, I guess. So yeah, we'll start with the State of the Union.
Yeah.
So we had that finally, and that was kind of a bizarre thing. Biden preached a whole bunch of unity, as he usually does, and he coupled it with accusations and lies. Now, the mainstream media has been very, very firm in asserting that no, in fact, Biden masterfully executed against the Republicans, in so much that he got them to agree that the taxation of or slashing Social Security and Medicare would not happen.
Okay.
Yeah, correct. That was never part of the plan. You can't hit somebody with a gotcha if that wasn't even remotely close to what they wanted to do in the first place.
It doesn't mean as much as he thinks it means, does it?
Correct. Basically, there has been an ongoing argument that the Republicans have been trying to push this adjustment to taxing. So, I don't know if you guys have income tax in your country. I'm pretty sure you do.
Yeah, we do, yeah.
Okay. So, we have an income tax. We also have a sales tax.
Your income tax is 19%, isn't it, or something?
I think it varies based on your income, actually.
Oh, right.
You get put into a certain tax bracket.
Oh, that's what we have here, yeah, okay.
So, Republicans have floated the idea earlier on, once they had finally established a House, right? They have floated the idea that they want to change how our tax system works. They want to remove estate tax. They want to remove income tax. They want to remove like import taxes or things of that nature, and they want to replace it with a flat 30% sales tax.
Okay.
Now, a lot of people heard that and go, "What? That seems egregious. Some sales taxes are, just 1% or 1.6%. That's why when you pay for something that's 99 cents, it's $1.01. Okay, but also remember that if the government, let's say you make 80,000 and you take home 57,000 by the end of the year, the government took $23,000 from you.
Yeah.
If you didn't have an income tax, then you would have that full 80,000. To then compare that with a 30% sales tax, I think it would actually work a lot better because you still pay sales tax.
Yeah.
In fact, everybody pays the sales tax. The employer
value-added
gets
tax, yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, the employer gets a tax break on their employees, but they still have to pay the taxes on the lease of the property, the business operations, the acquiring of goods. All of these things are different tax. So we go from acquiring the goods, right? The tax that then goes on the employees' salaries that would essentially, be the equivalent of the manufacturing cost.
Right.
Any kind of materials used to create the product, tax on that. Then they sell it to the next person or ship it. Shipping has tax. And then finally, once it's fully manufactured, fully done, then that tax, and everybody who touched it also is getting taxed based on their income. And then finally, you sell it back to the consumer, who is then taxed again.
Okay.
That doesn't make sense. That seems convoluted and bullshit. Or you could just go, no, it's 30% tax.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. It's a lot. The reason why a lot of, in my opinion, why a lot of politicians don't like the idea about one single point of tax, is because there are over 9,000 pages in our tax law.
That's a lot of pages.
And we have specific lawyers who go to school specifically to learn how it works and how to exploit it. Okay?
That does not surprise me.
So why would people who create the laws, who would benefit from a lot of these things, why would they want to A, either remove that tax, or B, why they would want to keep that tax? If you want to keep that tax, it probably means that you're getting some sort of kickback or benefit from the current tax system. Now, knowing that most of them make over $180,000 makes me think that the way that they are getting taxed is probably they're using some loopholes to avoid getting taxed all that much.
That doesn't surprise me in the slightest. I think we've spoken about this many times.
Absolutely. Politicians abusing the systems in order to benefit them. Shocker
right?
to no one. Yeah. So, why would the Republicans want to remove it? Well, because A, it would probably lower the amount of money that their opponents are getting, which is probably going to be a nice little jab in the stomach. But also, it helps the rest of the people in the country because they don't have to navigate bullshit IRS law all the time because, you took the wrong deduction on your taxes and, this extra $400 that you didn't declare from a PayPal donation, yep, that's taxable and you didn't do it, so you owe us money. Oh, also, if you don't pay us back, you have interest accrued on that for every day that you don't pay it. Ha ha ha. Yeah, I mean, our tax law is absolute, it is made to catch people in, it's not made to tax companies. It is made to actually impact people who don't have the resources to keep all of their accounting in the right place. Arguably, the less enfranchised, the disenfranchised, are the people who this, in my opinion, would benefit more.
Yeah.
Because they would keep more money in their pocket, and all that would change is that the price of goods that they buy would be taxed at a higher rate. But they, in the end, keep more money in their pocket at the start.
We've spoken about money before. I like this. This conversation's kind of gone back to something we spoke of earlier. I like it.
True. Now, of course, Joe Biden and the Democrats have accused them of actually wanting to slash Social Security or sunset Social Security and Medicare, which has never been part of the plan. And it's weird. They always bring this up. they always will bring up that Republicans want to slash Social Security and Medicare because they're social programs, and that makes the social word, which is socialist, right?
Okay.
So they were like, "Oh, they want to do that. They want to slash Social Security and Medicare." No, we never said that. Actually, you said that. You presumed that. Kevin McCarthy has come out multiple times saying, "No, no, we don't want to slash Social Security and Medicare. That is not in our plan. We don't actually intend to touch it at all."
Mm-hmm.
So when Biden had made the comments, the entire Congress erupted in boos during the State of the Union address. Marjorie Taylor Greene, in this like white outfit, stood up and yelled "liar" at him. Right? Kevin McCarthy's just sitting there shaking his head, and somehow this is a gotcha on the Republicans, according to the media. It's the weirdest thing.
How is it a gotcha? How is it a gotcha?
Because the Republicans are saying they don't want to slash Medicare anymore.
Oh.
But they never said it in the first place. It's gaslighting to the worst degree.
It's funny because they've kind of fallen for it themselves, though, if they believe that.
Right. They're drinking their. You never smoke your own supply. You also never drink your own Kool-Aid.
Yeah, you're not supposed to, but apparently some people do.
Yeah, well, they are definitely, up their own ass, and they actually believe the shit that is supposed to convince the regular people.
Right.
A lot of them have seemed to have been, duped by their own lie, because some media personalities, whether it's MSNBC or CNN, they have talked about this. They have brought on quote unquote experts or political commentators to talk about how it was a gotcha. I mean, not to mention that there was an MSNBC like contributor who came on a show last night who basically called all the Republicans white trash for booing. I want to remind everybody that Nancy Pelosi ripped up Trump's State of the Union speech on camera. And that speech included Gold Star families. So white trash is definitely, that's a choice. That's a choice in words. I don't know if I would commit full to that. Also, remember that Tyree Nichols thing that we were talking about a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, Biden called him Tyler. Whoops.
He has his moments.
Mm-hmm. Oh, by the way, he also had moments of absolute failure on speech. Like, we have our moments where we just like have our momentary stroke and we have to like repeat the thing that we just said because what came out was garbled nonsense. Well, Biden didn't repeat himself. He said garbled nonsense, but because they had released his speech before he said it, everyone had closed captions essentially on what he was supposed to say.
Oh, this is just fantastic, isn't it?
So there was a point where they were like, Republicans will not touch the shit at all. And all the Democrats were like, yay! What the fuck did he say? What the hell did he say?
He says a lot of crap these days, doesn't he?
Yeah, well, I mean, the guy's old. There is a lot of Congress. True. Very true. But the fact that everyone clapped for him literally saying nothing. He said words that did not come out. He did not actually physically say the words that would elicit clapping.
It doesn't surprise me. He comes up with a lot of shit these days.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, of course, there was the vast majority of commentary on his speech has been about the boos, the Social Security Medicare comments, and Marjorie Taylor Greene being dressed in all white. A lot of people have been calling her Cruella de Vil because of her outfit, which I'm gonna send you an outfit picture real quick. That's what she kind of looked like. Which I mean, it's got a certain Cruella de Vil kind of style to
Yeah,
it.
she's not
The
looking good.
reason why was it was supposed to be reminiscent of the white balloon, the
Oh,
China
really?
balloon.
Oh,
Hmm.
well, that's just trash. I like that, but it's trash.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Now, I want to point out one more thing on the Medicare Social Security thing. One of the other comments that have been talked about over and over again on the media, and actually Biden reiterated it on Twitter, saying that if Republicans' dream is to slash Social Security and Medicare, then I'm their nightmare.
Okay.
So, fun story. People have pulled up some receipts, some commentary and stuff from 1983, in which Senator Joe Biden was on the floor touting the fact that he wanted to tax Medicare and Social Security more, take more money from the people who would be getting those benefits. Um, Not once, not twice, not three times, but four times
Oh
he
dear.
attempted to do this. So, in fact, the person who wants to take away more of your Medicare and Social Security, at least historically speaking, four times tried, is Joe Biden.
I'd like you to try and imagine my shock. Um, it's somewhere. Uh, I am, of course,
I'm
very
sure it is.
shocked.
Yes, yes. I mean, I would hate to say that this is like this should be an outrage to everybody who knows it, like
Hmm.
about the situation. Like people should genuinely be upset about this kind of information. No one will be upset, but that's because it's not about policy anymore. It really has never been about policy since I guess Obama's second term
Yeah.
ish. I feel like it's gotten progressively worse. Like no one cares about what the president says. We have the closed caption. Cheer for him. Yay. We don't care that he's a flip-flopping hypocrite, single-handedly destroying our oil and gas industries in order to put up unreliable renewables that end up actually hurting the ecosystem more.
I'm
I would.
curious about the pushing of that because other countries that are struggling, Germany, for example, because of turning off the gas pipes from Russia,
Mhm.
Germany are doing more coal mines,
Yeah,
open coal mines, just quarries essentially,
the
because
infrastructure
they have
is
no.
there for it.
Well, it's not just that, but they also. I mentioned going nuclear. It turns out in places like Germany, instead of going nuclear, because they're a three-party coalition with the Green Party as well, they had to agree to shut them all down by April of this year. They
Hmm.
don't have nuclear. Yet nuclear would
Right.
be one of the best options for them.
Hmm.
But no, they're going with coal. And it's a dangerous area to tread. Of course it is, but your options are very limited.
Mm. I don't like the slander that basically goes on against nuclear power because nuclear power, in all cases, I'm pretty sure where there has been a meltdown, has usually been either because of some person not noticing something
Yeah.
or basically just a yeah, it's usually some sort of human error.
Mm-hmm.
Which of course it's definitely worthwhile being concerned about. But is it worth gimping your entire country's potential, uh, the potential energy output to do what is actually clean energy? As long as you just and actually we have ways to reuse uranium cores now that has actually it's been advancing over time that we've been getting better and actually having more ways that we can do it.
Yeah.
um, you have to look at like what are you giving up and why are you giving it up? Is it purely for ideological reasons or is because somebody has a deal that has to be made or why is it that people don't like nuclear? Now, of course, in the case of Germany and France, I believe they actually had protests about it, where they didn't want it because they likened the potential danger to that of 3 Mile Island in Fukushima and
Hiroshima.
Chernobyl.
Chernobyl. Yeah, Hiroshima, and yeah, that. I get the complaints. I think they forget that these lessons had to be learnt. We cannot always live in an existence of right. We can't do this. We're scared. We're terrified. Let's not do this.
Hmm.
I think you're gonna have to learn to. You've got to make these mistakes to be better, and those mistakes have been
Absolutely.
made.
Yeah, and we have it, and we have a whole bunch of lessons learned from the terrible like tragedies that happened, in both containment and fixing the problem. We've learned what kind of animals and vegetation comes back the fastest, and why certain things work the way they do. For example, in Chernobyl, one of the things that came back was different berries, because berries had high antioxidants and therefore actually prevented a lot of the nuclear fallout or nuclear waste from affecting small mammals.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Therefore, once the small mammals ended up becoming used to the radiation of the area, then larger animals and predators started coming back because they ate the animals that were used to that thing, and thus the cycle came back. So we know that we can actually reuse areas. Now, of course, there are still parts of Chernobyl that are still too much to handle, and that's fine. But the good news is that the area heals, right? Um, and so I think that the nuclear problem is not actually as big of a deal as people want it to be.
Well, this all obviously goes back to what Biden obviously his rather interesting policies of focusing on renewables,
Mhm.
which in turn I think stifles your economy.
Mhm. Oh, I should actually say caveat. I said most of those issues were man-made in regards to the nuclear. Fukushima was actually a tsunami. That wasn't their fault.
It totally was. It was Godzilla.
Yeah, yeah, true. Japanese. That was not their fault. It was just a tragedy, and you can't necessarily fault them for it. It wasn't their fault.
It wasn't their
uh,
fault. I can agree with that.
but yeah, so in terms of the State of the Union, a lot of the things that Biden said, like they're giving him a lot of credit for
Yeah.
what he had to say, but in my opinion, a lot of it was intentionally divisive. It was, oh, look how good we're doing. Also, the Republicans are bad. It was is essentially how the feel of the whole thing went.
Hmm.
Rebuttal was done by Sarah Sanders, who used to be the press secretary. Unimportant. She didn't do all that great. She talked about wokeism mostly. Like she didn't really
Cringe.
even yeah, she stuck to the script that she'd written before his speech and did not have the ability to go on the fly and talk about what he actually did talk about. So, take that L. You didn't do that hot. Now,
Here, have this L. We hold it for a while.
yeah, yeah. You remember what you did. Bye bye.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh dear.
now, in terms of the final story and the most interesting one, because we actually had a development just a few hours ago.
Oh, okay.
So the spy balloon thing is really weird, because for 6 days that thing floated from, I think it was Montana or Minnesota where it was seen first,
It
and
wasn't
it
the only
floated
one, just to be
all.
clear. Apparently, there was
I
three in total.
I heard there were three. In
Yeah.
fact,
The
I
second
heard.
was seen over Central and South America. The third was operating at an undisclosed location. I have an article on
Yeah,
it.
I remember that one. Yeah, there was one in like Brazil
There's also
or
potential
Peru.
sightings over
Peru.
Japan in 2020 and 2021. Also, Taipei and India. If I mispronounced the second one of those and not India, then sorry.
Well, you
Bless
do
you.
you know that there were also three that happened during the Trump administration that no one knew about
I did not.
until recently.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, apparently the Trump administration had never been told about these other balloons, because Trump was like, "Nah, if it was up to me, we would have shot it out of the sky as soon as we saw it." And just random officials,
To
like
be fair, he would have.
unnamed sources. Oh yeah, totally, he would have.
Yeah.
Like unnamed officials came out and were like, "Actually, 3 went over your country," and like Millie Bolton, I think somebody else from the administration was like, "Literally, no, no, it did not happen. We would have no. We would have. You could look up and see it.
It would have been in
How
the
do you?
news. It would
No,
surely.
absolutely, it would have.
And it
You
would have been
think
blown
that?
up.
Yeah,
I
you think that a media that was already looking for anything and everything against Trump wouldn't
yeah.
jump on the opportunity to say that he is failing at protecting our airspace? Oh no,
Yeah.
they would have jumped on it immediately.
A few articles I found that did quite adequately cover this. One of them asked the question that really has to be asked: why would China use spy balloons when it has access to rather high-tech satellites? It's
Some
strange.
have said it's a test.
Okay. Expand if possible.
So some have speculated that the balloon is a readiness test for the American response if anything were to happen to Taiwan.
Oh right, that makes sense actually, because Biden has to do something. He has to abide the rules. Yeah.
Right, but it was interesting, the speculation, because the thought was essentially, okay, so if this is over their airspace, let's see how long it takes them to shoot it down.
Yeah.
Oh, it takes them 6 days. Interesting. So how long do you think it would take them to get to Taiwan, for instance, if their space was being invaded? Or let's just say, it was being threatened. Now, of course, they've been doing this for months. They have been threatening Taiwanese airspace, the Chinese have, for a while now.
They're mustering troops already. Everyone knows this.
Mm-hmm.
They're desperate to make themselves look good all the time. The problem is we know a lot more than they think we know.
Mm-hmm. I think that the U.S. even knows a lot more too than they let on. I don't think Biden knows. You know what I mean?
Oh, I have no doubt he knows fuck all. Beijing Biden knows nothing.
Correct.
I believe that's the name he was called for a while.
I do believe that's correct. Now, bless you. The question comes down to, okay, was it actually a test? Now, I know that they had repeatedly made the claim that they were floating over some military installations. So that is cause for concern for some people, for most. That's definitely, at least a part of things that we need to look into. But the other question is, what were they doing? What were they beaming back? What were they spying on? What did we have out and about that a balloon could see you?
I wonder what would happen if it was just ignored.
I have no. Well, it probably would have floated out of Myrtle Beach because that's where it was shot down.
I mean, in the sense of what would it, what could their intelligence accomplish if the US had ignored it? Because it could have been seen, spotted, and just ignored the entire time to give off the impression they won't do shit. If it was done to test America, then it would have been a false result because America would have noticed and not reacted.
Right. Unknown. This is merely a theory that I've heard about, and I don't necessarily want to make a point.
Honest,
I guess
it's a reasonable assertion, to be honest. Because it never occurred to me, but when you give it a moment to think, actually, it seems reasonable. It's a bit of a far-fetched one, considering it's a bloody balloon, but it's the most reasonable of all the ones I've seen so far.
Mm-hmm. Now, so the development that happened a couple hours ago was that another unidentified object was had entered into American airspace.
Yeah.
This time by Alaska,
So
and it was shot down by F-22s from Elmendorf.
So there's a thing here that China's foreign ministry have said that the balloon was a civilian airship for meteorological research. US officials have said the device had propellers, giving the ability to navigate and also change altitude to match winds in different directions. That the balloon also flew over sensitive military sites, including missile silos and Malmstrom Air Force Base in Montana, indicates that this is a surveillance mission and it took measures to stop it collecting, and the US in turn took measures to stop it collecting data and to observe it using its crewed U-2 spy aircraft from above to see what might be transmitting to Chinese satellites. That's fascinating to me.
I don't necessarily know if that's like completely true. If I was going to give the government the full benefit of the doubt, let's say
that's just what I'm going by with one article. I don't know if it's actually true or not.
Right, but let's say I gave them the full benefit of the doubt and I said, okay, let's say y'all know exactly what you're doing and you guys had this handled from the moment that you saw it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So why not say anything? Why not tell people that? Because what they had basically said was it's being monitored and don't worry about it. And everyone was like, what? What do you mean don't worry about it? Like, I'm going to be worried about it. Like, that's not a thing that you can just tell people. And it's like, well, where is it right now? And the spokesperson, whoever was on that podium at the time, was like, you can look up, you can see it for yourself. I was like, hello, what? This is not the proper response from a government agency that our airspace is being threatened. And your answer is, don't worry about it. Also, if you want to know where it is, fucking use your eyes, dingus. Because essentially, that's what they told us. Now, again, I don't know necessarily what all was going on with them, but you know, I wouldn't be surprised if that genuinely was a thing that was going on, because that is totally something that China would do. They've done it in the past.
Yeah,
they would totally do it again. Some people have made the comment to say like, oh yeah, if you think spy balloons is your worst, is the worst possible thing that could happen, you don't pay attention enough to what actually goes on in China. And I'm like, this is not better. We do not trade these bad things for good things, or we do not pass off other things because, oh, there's worse.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I guarantee you, China tries to hack different financial institutions and, you know, sensitive information probably like 24/7. I bet you there are attempts on our infrastructure all the time. And I bet it's the same for the UK, genuinely. But okay, FBI saying, oh yeah, don't worry about a balloon. That's the least of your worries when it comes to Chinese hacking or spying. Shut up. Fix the problem. There is an actual balloon. Like, your job is to handle the covert. We're not supposed to know that. This thing is visible.
Yeah.
We can all see it. At least make everybody feel better and shoot the damn thing down. But if they're just doing it for intelligence gathering, like counterintelligence gathering, I guess, by using a U-2 satellite to intercept messages, all right, what do you got? Like, what's the report? What were they sending back? What did you stop the message? Did you jam the message? Or did you, like, how does that even work? Of course, we would never find that information, and I'm sure plenty of it is classified. But, like, do we even know if they have, like, taken ownership of it? Because I know that there was a comment where the Chinese said, oh, that's an overreaction from the US. The Japanese sunk 8 boats in 1941. We dropped the sun on them twice. You think shooting down a balloon is overreaction?
I don't think they understand.
No, I don't. Because the Chinese have never actually had to go toe to toe. The Chinese have been really happy to not be part of most of the world conflicts.
That doesn't
But
surprise
now
me.
they're making their own.
Too busy fighting each other, and then once they created the whole communist thing ruling all the regions, and then took over more separate regions that didn't want to be a part of it, and then continue to bully them because they want them as well anyway, even though the people that don't want them, they're just going to keep doing that and spreading. I expect.
Sorry, I got distracted. I got distracted by the chat.
Ahsoka's message.
Yes, and it's a show, apparently. It's a podcast.
I am not going to look it up.
Okay, it's a podcast that is intentionally made to have a weird fucking name so that it gets fucking views, apparently.
Yeah, I'm not looking it up. For those who hear this on Spotify, Cumtown is trending on Twitter. But so's Deadpool 3, CM Punk, and some Star Trek stuff.
Interesting. I don't know what the fuck that is about. I don't care. That whole Cumtown thing. So we're just going to ignore that and we're going to move on from that. So yeah, the thing that we shot down a couple hours ago, we don't know yet if it was another balloon. It might not have been. It may just be like a civilian thing.
Quite possibly.
Not like civilian aircraft, like there were civilians in it. Though because realistically, if there were civilians in it, they probably would have had a transponder that they could have pinged back IFF, identify friend or foe. Sorry. So they probably would have been fine and dandy. Like that was probably fine. But if it was a weather balloon, that's a different story, I guess. But probably not. Realistically, probably not. It probably was another balloon. Probably was this time Russian, if I had to guess, since it came from the Alaskan area and probably Russia. I would have to say.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think we've gone well over time, and unless there's anything else Trups would like to talk about, I think we should find a way to end the stream now.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
Fantastic.
I might stream Hogwarts Legacy.
You should. Everyone go follow them on Twitch. It's twitch.tv/TrupsLP, I think.
Correct.
Bosh. I will probably go to bed.
Yes.
Thank you everyone for joining us.
Hungry.
Oh, you need food. Thank you everyone for joining us. We really appreciate it. This will be on Spotify tomorrow. If you do follow us there, fantastic. Give it a listen because we want more of your support. Unless Trups has plans next week, we should be back on Friday next week.
I think we're good.
Sweet. 2 in a row. We're off to a cracking start. Okay then. Thank you everyone for joining, and we'll see you next Friday. Say good night, Trups.
Good night, Trups.
Good night, Trups.